Everybody, this is Frank DiMora with the Last Chronicles of Planet Earth. I suggest you visit my website, www.demoraministry.com. And once you get there, you'll see the cover, front and back cover of my book, and below it there's a link that allows you to download my complete book for free. This is a product of 33 years in the ministry, compiling evidence and documents that I put in the book, and it's coming to you with no strings attached, absolutely free. What I'm going to be discussing right now is a prophecy that hasn't been fulfilled yet, but is going to be fulfilled. I believe that there's a possibility that it may even be fulfilled before the end of the year. And this has to do with the Psalm 83 war. And in this war, we're told, as you see here, I put this up for you, the Psalm 83. These are a list of nations that are going to be in that war. And you notice that the Hamas living in the Gaza Strip, the Palestinians, the Jordanians, the Egyptians, and the Syrians. And I'm pointing those out because in the news we see that there's some new tensions that have been mounting. Now last week there was rockets that were fired in from Lebanon into Israel, and then there was a skirmish again where an Israeli lieutenant, I believe a lieutenant colonel, was killed by a sniper from the Lebanese side. And these skirmishes are leading to another major conflict, a regional conflict that's going to involve all of those nations that I just showed you in this Psalm 83 war. Now, what has happened is Benjamin Netanyahu, when you scroll down after you watch my video, there's all the news there, so you'll be able to read it yourself, but I'm going to give it to you in a nutshell. Benjamin Netanyahu gave an ultimatum to the Lebanese over this Israeli clash, and he said essentially that he wanted the person who was excuse me, responsible for this death or the sniping of this lieutenant colonel to be court-martialed, and if they weren't going to deal with this person to keep the peace going, that he was going to go in there and wipe out the border, the Lebanese border right north of Israel, to make sure that this doesn't happen again. What he's trying to do is to protect his people, protect his soldiers who are on the border. Now, I can tell you right up front that the skirmishes are not going to stop, because you have elements within the Lebanon, like the Hamas and the Hezbollah, who their agenda is to wipe Israel out and to recapture Jerusalem. So they're never going to stop. You'll see a lull in the action, but they are going to persist. More rockets, more mortars, more killings are going to go until eventually Israel will have no alternative but to attack and to destroy the enemies who are trying to kill the Israeli citizens and their soldiers. Now, along with the tensions mounting between what happened with that attack last week, the border attack with the rockets, the mortars, and then the sniping, we see that the Hassan Nasrallah, who was one of the leaders for this movement, he is now trying to devise a scheme. And when you scroll down, you'll see this news about this. And it says, signs of another war between the nations bordering Israel are increasing as tensions keep mounting. In another report entitled A Cell Phone, an Oak Tree, and a Great Missile could kindle a Middle East blaze. That's the name of it, and this article came out by Depka File. It says, we are told that the risk of a major Middle East conflict has promised to show in a news conference called for Monday, August 9th, what he calls proof of the Israeli Secret Service's complacency in the 5-year-old assassination of former Lebanese Prime Minister. Now, what Nasrallah is saying, that he's going to go and he's going to have a conference and he's going to state that Israel is responsible for the death of the prime minister, of the Lebanese prime minister. It goes on, it says, he is clearly engaged in a desperate bid to let the Syrian president Bashar al-Assad, associates, and most of all, senior Hezbollah security officers off the hook for that crime by flying in the face of the evidence piled up in a long UN-sponsored investigation. So what is Hezbollah's? Now I'm gonna read what I wrote here in case you don't want to read the article. So what is the Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah up to? It becomes very clear what is happening when you also find out that Iran's spiritual leader Ayatollah Khamenei, chief of staff, who just met with Hassan Nasrallah, and in the Depka file report it shows and read the outcome of this meeting. What's happening here is the Nasrallah and Iran's spiritual leader came in a meeting, and they discussed what they were going to do and how that they were going to, well, as you're going to see here in a second, cause another war. And let me quote exactly what it said. As we close this issue, and we're talking about the Iranians now, the spiritual leader. It says, Iranian spiritual leader Ayatollah Khamenei's chief of staff arrived unannounced in Beirut last Thursday, August 5th, and went straight into the conference with the Hezbollah leader. Nasrallah undoubtedly asked him for Tehran's backing for the scheme to shift the guilt for the Hariri murder onto Israel. And that's the, obviously that would be the Lebanese president who they're talking about. If it is granted, he will unveil his proof against Israel Monday and force Lebanese Prime Minister Hassan Hariri, who is the son of the late Prime Minister of Lebanese, the son of the assassinated politician, to take the following steps forthwith. Now, they had 4 different steps. I'm only going to give you the last 2, number 3 and 4, because these are the most important, especially number 3. It says, the Prime Minister Hariri must use Nasrallah's evidence as ground to accuse Israel of his father's murder and, now get this, and I quote, declare war on the Jewish state. So I've been saying that the war is coming, and they're working through different schemes to bring this war on. Now when you read Psalm 83, Psalm 83 tells us that these leaders come together to devise a plan to wipe out Israel. And I believe in my heart that a lot of these meetings, that's exactly what these people are doing. But this is one of the schemes that sure does look like that they're trying to get this war. Now, you have to understand, you have the Iranian spiritual leader who comes in, he makes agreements with the other leader, Nasrallah, and obviously Iran wants Israel to be wiped out. The president of Iran, Ahmadinejad, has said many times that he believes that he's the prophet that's going to cause chaos, that forces the hidden Ayam, their savior, out of this well that he's hiding in, and he's going to advance on Israel, destroy Israel. Now, all of this is, if you think I'm kidding, scroll down and you'll see a video that Joel Rosenberg, who was served under Benjamin Netanyahu from the Israeli government, and Rosenberg is talking with Glenn Beck, and he tells Beck what's happening with the president of Iran, who claims that he is the prophet who's going to bring this person out. Now, that will lead to the Ezekiel 38 war. And all these things are happening right now as we see in all the rest of the prophecies taking place. So the skirmishes, the border attacks, the coming together to come against Israel, all these things are being fulfilled in God's timing. So we really need to pay attention to what's going on.